It is my privilege to welcome our guest this morning, Habti, to the stage. Habti comes to us all the way from Ethiopia, and he actually flew over us and started in Ohio, right, this trip, to visit the graduation of another dear friend and somebody that we have had a wonderful relationship over the past few years with. But Habti, thank you so much for coming all this way. Now, Habti is the executive director of Salamta Family Project in Ethiopia. And Salamta has a special place in the hearts of Curtis Lake. And I know I was here at first service, and so Habti is going to be very gracious in his thanks for how we have had the privilege of partnering together with them. But for those of you maybe who haven't been here for many, many years, some years ago, well over 10 years ago, we as a church, we kind of changed our strategy for how we were going to do global outreach and missions. And we rebranded it as Global Outreach. And the Salamta Family Project was one of the organizations. And I don't know exactly how we got connected together with them. My guess is it was through a relationship that Marissa had. And she was serving as our Global Outreach Director at the time. And so they were one of the very first organizations that we brought in and had this very meaningful connection with and support for. And back then, they weren't even a faith-based organization, but they were doing some incredible and very innovative things with orphan and family care in Ethiopia. And that organization has gone through seasons of change. We actually saw Marissa leave our staff here at Curtis Lake and for a season served as the U.S. director for Salamta. And now she's come back to us, and she's no longer in your hair and getting all up in your business. Now she's back into my hair and getting all up in my business. But we can talk about that later. While Marissa was there, Salamta actually underwent this incredible season of change where they went from not a faith-based organization to a specifically gospel-centered, gospel-oriented organization that is bringing the hope of Jesus into the lives of so many. And so they're continuing to do the same great work, and I would probably argue that the work has only expanded and increased because their willingness to take these courageous steps. And so I'm so glad that now in this particular season, we have somebody like Habti who is heading up that organization, and we are so, so grateful for all of the work you do, and we're really grateful that you were willing to travel all this way and be with us this morning. Give Habti a great big hand.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Good morning, church. It's a beautiful day, right? I think I brought this warm, beautiful weather with me, right? All the way from Africa. Yeah, it's such a pleasure to be here, to be a part of this wonderful initiative. And so I had this conversation with the Go team about me coming here and sharing my experience, my personal journey, and our experience as an organization. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. And I was like thinking about, what am I talking? What am I going to share? And two things really have been like stirring in my heart. And the first one being the mission of God. Like, what is God's mission, which is His overarching plan and design for the world, right? And so that concept, which in Latin is translated as Missio Dei, is something that really places church's role as a participant of that bigger, beautiful, and really wonderful plan of God. So the church is not an independent, really institution or organization like working in the dark, but it is very much part of God's plan. And that implies the church getting involved in local and international ministries, and that really transcends boundaries of geography, boundaries of language, culture, and national identity. So it is such a beautiful thing for churches to be engaged in such a way. And I have seen so many big churches in America and in Ethiopia, and unfortunately they don't get it. They really miss what this is all about. And it's really comforting to know this church, a relatively small church, really understanding like the whole picture, the whole message of God's mission. And for example, to really illustrate what this mission is all about, so like to give you a context, this mission of God, or like the sending of God, is not necessarily written in a single word in the Bible, but in theology it is commonly referenced to really underline God's active role and design to really change the world and to really redeem and reconcile the brokenness happening all over the place. And for example, in verse John 3 and 6, it talks about God, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. So that is God acting upon his love for the people, acting upon his really concern and care for the people who are believers and not believers. And this is such a beautiful, really passage that really encapsulates this mission. You guys are not a passive observant of what is happening throughout the world, but an active advocates for change, and be like walking beside the poor, helping the needy, and advocating for the voiceless. And in John 17:20 and 20 up to 23 and including 26, in Jesus' prayer before his betrayal and crucifixion, he talks about his prayer was really about unity, like that really transcends borders and belief systems. And it says, "My prayer is not for them alone. I pray also for those who will believe in me through their message, that all of them may be one. Father, just as you are in me and I am in you, may they also be in us, so that the world may believe that you have sent me. I have given them the glory that you gave me, that they may be one as we are one. In them and you in me, so that they may be brought to complete unity. Then the world will know that you sent me and I have loved them, even as you have loved me." And in verse 26, it continues, "I have made you known to them and will continue to make you known, in order that the love you have for me may be in them and that I myself be in them." This is such a powerful passage. It talks about unity in the Holy Trinity nature, and also like the all-encompassing love God had for all the people in the world. And this mission is honestly, and this concept of the mission of God is really about recognizing God himself is the source. He is the source, and he is the initiator and the sustainer of mission. It's easy to think that, yeah, we're like the drivers of our missions, wherever we go, whatever we do. But it's just recognizing and acknowledging that God is the one behind every mission, in whatever we think of it. And one aspect of this mission of God is like understanding God is a missionary God. As I said earlier, it's like acknowledging a church is not just a local church. It is acknowledging being a part of this bigger, beautiful, like movement that really transcends every boundaries that you can think of. Cultures, generations, and borders. And the other aspect of this mission of God concept revolves around, like it's not all about evangelism. It's not all about necessarily conversion. It is also about like holistic renewal of people. By that, you can see like in the scripture, like God really advocating for the people, really healing the sick, comforting the depressed, and helping, walking along people through their tribulations. So it is an active duty of the church that is required to really help the needy, to advocate on their behalf, and to be a voice for the voiceless, not just the spiritual side, but also the material and the physical side of things. So it just shows you like the holistic nature of this concept of the mission of God. And for example, in the Old Testament alone, you see like references of the poor, the term poor, like hundreds of times. It appears 262 times in the Old Testament alone. There is a reference to the poor. And compare that with justice, which appears 125 times, and faith, which occurs 120 times, forgiveness, which appears 38 times. And we have love 441 times, and peace 271 times respectively. So this is something that really gives you a good understanding of where God's heart is, right? He's really concern for the poor, and his ambition, his like eagerness to for the older to really embrace love and peace and help each other. And in the New Testament, we see the writers specifically referencing the term poor 64 times. And we can have some examples in the Bible verses. Proverbs 14:31, for example, it states, "Whoever oppresses the poor insults his maker, but he who is kind to the needy honors him." Again, in Proverbs 19:17, it says, "Whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they have done." And in Luke 4:18, we see Jesus reciting a passage from Isaiah and declaring his mission, bringing good news to the poor, preaching deliverance to captives, setting the oppressed free. And it really pictures or places God as a liberator, as someone really caring for the physical, social, and spiritual needs of all the people. And in John 3:16-18, we see it says, "This is how we know what love is. Jesus Christ laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters. If anyone has a material possession and sees a brother or sister in need, but has no pity on them, how can the love of God be in that person? Dear children, let us not love with words or speech, but with actions and in truth." And in James 1:27, which is a very famous, very well-known verse, it talks about religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after the orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. So, like, these verses are like some examples of how God really has such a concern for the poor, for the afflicted, and the needy. So in general, we can say, like the mission of God can be understood as creating new people, blessed, that are blessed, and that bless others. And in my personal experience, that's what I have seen with members of this church. I joined Salamta in 2016, and I was practically an atheist who read the Bible for the sake of arguing with others, honestly. I knew some verses, some ideas of the Bible, and then that was my fun thing to do, like to really argue with people, to challenge their faith and stuff. So, but like over time, and we became a faith-based organization in 2017, and I think my journey somehow coincided with that as well. Like Salamta became a faith-based organization, and I think that time around we had a new director, and he was a cool guy, like such a cool person, and he was a born-again Christian, and initially we were really skeptical because like if you don't have much information about Ethiopia, it's a country with Orthodox Christianity really taking hold in everything, like the social fabric, the economy, the politics, and even up until maybe around 17 years ago, it was a state religion. And so you can imagine the influence that this church has, this Ethiopian Orthodox Church has over the lives of many people. So I was very skeptical. It was like confusion happening among our kids, our staff members, and me personally, because we didn't know what to expect of this new director. But like, he was such a good person. He tried to live like the Christian life, like how a family guy he was, how he cared for the kids, how he really loved on our caregivers, our moms. That was something that we cannot ignore. That was something that, and the consistency and the like unwavering commitment from him towards our cause. That was such one step forward for me. And like he would take me to Bible studies, then having conversations. It was like diverse group of people from all over the world, and we spoke about like the Bible and the practical application of like Christianity in general. And the fact those people really accepted me for who I was, like not judging my knowledge of Christianity, my background. That was something that really impactful in my life. Because like before then, my experience of born-again Christianity honestly was when I was in grade 3. I did share that with some of you who were here last night. When I was in grade 3, I had this really beautiful couple. One of them happened to be my teacher. And I was born in a really strictly Orthodox Christian community. And everything I had heard about anything else was just bad. These are like sinners, are really not so good people, standing against the good faith of the church and all of that. But like, when I saw this couple, I was like, that doesn't measure up. That's not what I heard from about these people. It doesn't make sense. So I had that really, even at that young age, I had those questions really about faith, religion, and people in general. And I met that person, that teacher of mine, when I was, I think, in university. And it was like after such a long time. But that connection was so profound. Like, I had no idea I missed him that much. I had no idea, like, that connection was that profound and deep. And then coming forward to joining Salamta, getting to know some people and like participating in the Bible studies, those were like eye-opening experiences for me. And then came, of course, the Curtis Lake team. I think it must have been 2016 or 17 that the first team that I had encountered with, had any encounter with, and they were like really nice people. Yeah, I mean, I shared that yesterday, like last night. I have been to like a few countries worldwide, and I have never felt welcomed in this community. And it's all about this church being an anchor to how people really welcome others, how people really live there every day. Honestly, it's such a beautiful thing. I had all the preconceived notions of Americans you can think of, like being very individualistic, not caring about others, not being really interested about others. But like meeting the Curtis Lake team was, what? Like this is beautiful. This is powerful. How they treated our kids, how they treated our moms and aunties, how they treated me, how they hugged me, right? Like this is something I had no idea of, like initially. So, and then came the consistency. Now I can see them every year or like every other year. This is like love beyond borders. This is love expressed like in ways that really transcends linguistic, cultural, or national barriers. And yeah, so my journey continued. I got married to this beautiful young lady who grew up in the church. So as you can imagine, that was such a big leap in my faith journey. But just so to say, like this church, the Go team that I have encountered over the years, that I have met over the years, deeply impacted my faith journey in ways that I cannot even describe. And having these people is just a beautiful expression of God's love for others. It's one thing to talk about all the Bible verses and the stuff, but it's another to really express it in tangible, meaningful ways so that people can really relate to, so that people can really understand. Yeah, so that was my story. And I want to also share, just for you to have a good understanding of the impact this church has had, like at Salamta. I want to share two beautiful stories of transformation. I'm not sure if we have a picture of one of our boys. Yeah, that's one of our boys who came to us in 2020. And so the story was such that he came from the western part of the country, and he had lost his parents while he was looking after the cows, sheep, and goats. He was living in a remote village, and when he came back, as he did oftentimes, like usually, he found out that the village was on fire, and his parents were killed, and their house was still burning when he arrived. There was like ethnic tension going on in that area, and that was exactly what happened. So he had to flee for his life, and he ended up in Addis somehow, like miraculously. He didn't have money, he didn't have anything. I don't know how to explain that, but he ended up in Addis, the capital city where we are located. And one guy found him by the street, sitting like confused, not knowing what to do, where to live. And he brought him to Salamta. That guy had like knowledge of us, so he was like, there is this guy, I can keep him for a few days. Can you have him like for forever? All right. So like you can see all the pieces like kind of coming together. Coming to Addis for him, getting noticed, recognized by a good person, and then this person knowing Salamta, and his willingness to do something for the kid. All those pieces came together and were like, and at that time, with God's timing for sure, we were having like new kids, and we had one place because one of our boys had run away, and we didn't know where he went. So, yeah, that was his place. And this guy, he never spoke. He never expressed his feelings. Like for obvious reasons, because he had seen all the traumatic experiences he shouldn't go through. He had experiences, all the challenges as a young kid should not have experienced it. So like, it's understandable that he never expressed his feelings, never spoke about what he was feeling. So we were like mostly in the dark about it, like his feelings. Like, was he happy? Is he really good? Doing really well? So it was a slow, intentional, loving kind of approach from us, which was really required. And then last year, like he started to attend church services. Like, can I try? Can I go? And that was a result of our intentional engagement with our kids. Since we became a faith-based organization in 2017, we made sure our kids have that access to this spiritual development. So we hired 2 spiritual social workers that teach them like the Bible, work alongside them through their faith journey. So those like drips had really impacted him in really profound ways. So it was like, can I go to church? Yeah. And then finally he became a Christian. And it's like such a story of transformation. Like, as you know, trauma really disrupts one's perception of the world, God, and others. So for him to go through this healing journey and to really give meaning to his circumstances, I don't think I would do that. I don't think I would be able to do so. So that's such a powerful testimony of this intentional, holistic, and sustainable engagement that can really bring this holistic transformation in the lives of our kids. And I have another story, another really cool story. And this is another kid of ours. She is 13. And so her story is a bit different. She had to go through a few other like orphanages, non-profit organizations, and there were like so many things tried to reunite her with her biological family, but they were nowhere to be seen. So she ended up in one of the really horrible government-run girls-only orphanages, and we had it was in 2020, yeah, and we still had one place for the girl, and we had so many options, but she ended up coming to Salamta. And it's crazy. Like the first time we tried, she was the one that would refer to us by, we have what we call it, the Women and Children's Affairs. It's, I think, the HHS in your context, or Child Protection Services. I don't know the kind of offices you have here. So they gave us the name of this kid twice. And the second time we're like, yeah, this could be like for a reason. And we brought her, and last year she also came to Christ. And she is very active in the church now. Like, you have no idea. And she shouldn't be that way. Like, the circumstances, like really unimaginable. She was on the street for some time. She had like addictions of all sorts. If you're familiar with she even like did glue sniffing. I'm not sure, like some of you have seen you have experience of that. That's like such a really heartbreaking story. And even whenever I go to Women and Children Affairs, they remember her because she was very unique, because she was very different and she was very challenging to deal with. And they often ask me, how is she doing? And whenever I tell them like the kind of transformation that she experienced, it just blows their mind. They just cannot believe. All that to say, these stories, these transformations would not have been possible without the involvement of this church. Without you guys being active, like doing whatever you can to help ministries locally and abroad. And that's what it is all about, right? I shared about God's mission, and with that, let me go to my second thought that I've been dealing with as I was like kind of preparing to speak, and which is the Great Commission. And the Great Commission, honestly, is about individuals' call to fulfill God's mission. So, with the mission of God, it's mostly about the church really being a part of God's overarching design and plan for the world. But the Great Commission, what we see is individual calls. Not only to evangelize, but to work towards like holistic, complete transformation, to be the voice for the voiceless, to embrace others, regardless of circumstances, regardless of boundaries. And for example, in Matthew, let me see. Yeah, in Matthew 28, 19, 20, Jesus gave a great commission and instructing his disciples, go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. This is a calling. And in this message, what really comes to my mind is all nations. All right? So, like to give you like a clue, the phrase all nations, which in Greek is called ethnos, appears 569 times in the Old Testament alone. That's huge. That really tells you where God's heart is. It's all about nations. And when we talk about nations, of course, the context is Gentile people, foreign kingdoms, groups really distinct or different from Israel. And this is such a powerful message that really calls us to do our part in missions that really transcend boundaries of all sorts, whether geography, whether linguistic, culture, or nationality. So it is such a beautiful call to really be active and be a part of this beautiful kingdom that should expand, that should really encompass all the nations, because that is God's mission. And the question becomes, what are like the practical ways we can get involved in this calling? And the first one is definitely to help local and international ministries that are doing the job. It's very likely that we have the time to like establish or create nonprofits by our own. So like that's not the whole thing. But there are really cool organizations doing the job. And in today's society, like missionary life doesn't have to be going like far distances and preaching the gospel. It can be helping those nonprofits, those organizations doing the job. And the second would be like volunteering for short-term or long-term missions. And as I told you, it is easy for you to take it for granted and really see it lightly. The kind of impact, the kind of profound, long-lasting impact these teams can have wherever they go. Yeah, that's. I have like a testimony for that. Honestly, all these beautiful people that I really call family, that would not have been possible if it was not for the Go teams, for the mission trips, and for the approach this church has towards others. And of course, financial support is one thing. I know it is a pledge that you have to do, and I heard about it, and I encourage you to be a part of it. If you are like a part of it, definitely thank you. Definitely, I'm grateful on behalf of our kids, our families, and all the people that can be really impacted by your initiatives here, all the things, all the mission trips and the stuff. And finally, of course, you can pray and support us spiritually. I shared that earlier. There were times that we struggled financially as an organization, and we had to really rely on spiritual strength to go through those storms, to go through those ups and downs. And prayer is such a powerful vehicle that really shows your concern for others. It is one way of like ministering to others. So I think I hope my message was clear. I hope you found it informative and impactful, as as your stories have been impactful in my life. Yeah, thank you so much. That's what I wanted to share.